Test 1, 2, testing, 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 1, 2. Special good afternoon and hello again, everybody in New Ulm, Minnesota. We are at the 2018 Bavarian Blast Parade. I'm Mark Sandelman. With me are Darla Gebhardt and George Glotzbach. George, you like to open us up with something German.
Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Willkommen in Neu-Ulm, Minnesota, die deutscheste Stadt in den USA. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New Ulm, Minnesota, the most German city in America. We want to welcome all of our visitors to go along with the big crowd of New Ulmers and Brown County folks who are here. It promises to be a big day, and we're here to tell you all about it.
And Darla Gebhardt, you and I did the parade last year because George was off on some ship on an Adriatic Sea or the Baltic Sea. And we had so much fun, but we let George come back.
We did. We had a lot of fun, and I'm back, and I'm here on behalf of the Brown County Historical Society to give you a little bit of history as the floats go by.
Very good. Yeah, we've got, once again, George, Darla, we have a great parade lined up here at Bavarian Blast in New Ulm, Minnesota. We've got, let's talk a little bit. The Marty family are the 2018 Grand Marshals.
They are, Darla.
Whoops.
Well, the Marty family are descendants of the August Shell, and they now operate the Shell's Brewery, which was one of the oldest breweries still in the original family's hands.
Second oldest in the country.
Second oldest in the country, so that should be a great thing to have in the parade as leaders.
And they, the Marty family has been such great ambassadors for New Ulm as Shell's Brewery has. And I was thinking about it this week, and they own the brewery, but they're really caretakers of it for New Ulm. They really understand just how important the Shell's Brewery is to New Ulm.
To be shareholders in the Shell's Brewery, you must be a direct descendant of August Shell. You can't just buy shares willy-nilly on the open market. You must be a direct descendant of August Shell, and that's why the brewery has maintained not only the quality of its products, its local character, but also the Germanic feel to the whole operation.
And Darla, the brewery at the U.S.-Dakota conflict, I think, is kind of the name we've kind of settled on, at least around New Ulm. The brewery was spared.
The brewery was spared, and part of that was because of the relationship that the Shell family had with the Dakota, but also because of its location. It was slightly outside what would now be, the New Ulm area. It was a little bit out by the Cottonwood River, and geographically, the battles did not go that direction, so that also helped spare them.
Sure.
And I live right across the river from the brewery. The brewery is within my sight. And when they have the celebrations out there at the brewery, and when they break out in the New Ulm National Anthem, Ein Prosit, you can hear it clearly at my house. I don't have to go over there. I can sit out in my front stoop and listen to it.
I think we all have, and I say this in a fun, fond way, that we all have great memories of just walking the grounds out at the brewery, going out there for Oktoberfest, going out there for Bachfest. Some might prefer one over the other, but it's just again, it's a real treasure for New Ulm, and the Marty family shows that they recognize and understand that. So to be named the Grand Marshal for the parade, I think, is very appropriate and fitting.
It's an honor, well deserved.
Yes. And if we could, just let's talk briefly about somebody else that was honored this year as the 2018 Tourism Ambassador of the Year for New Ulm, Minnesota, and that's the late Arnold Kelpine. George, I know you were friends with Arnold.
Yes, Arnold was a great mentor to me. I had lived away from New Ulm during my business career, and when I moved back to New Ulm, Arnold was one of the first people I befriended that was new to me. And the qualities of that man are incomparable. His relationship, beginning with it up at Martin Luther College, extended way beyond the college, and the fact that he was nominated for mayor and served that unexpired term of Bert Shabicum
Yep.
was a testimony to the quality guy that he was. Spoke beautiful German, spent time as scholar over there in Germany and in the Germanic countries when he was younger. So he and his whole family are steeped in the Germanic culture and tradition, and to have him as our Burgermeister, as our mayor, was could not have been more apt.
And Darla, Professor Calpine was known in Lutheran circles as being a giant, a pillar in all of Lutheranism, but most people wouldn't know that, even Lutherans around here. What they remember him for is his vast encyclopedic knowledge of all things German, including New Ulm. And I know you had a chance to work with him.
Well, I worked with Arnie when he was president of the Brown County Historical Society, and he served 2 terms as president. And I enjoyed working with Arnie not only on German translation, but on marker signage. We would always count on Arnie to review the marker texts if we were going to place a historic marker around New Ulm, but also enjoyed listening to him talk about his travels to Germany and his studies over there. And the trips, he would take students back over to Germany from the college to study there for a couple of weeks, and he was just a wonderful man.
Yeah, it's a real loss to the community, and yet probably most people didn't even know who Arnold Calpine was, but I wanted to make sure that all of
more people than you might think knew who he was.
maybe.
And to lose him and Marlene Domeyer
Oh,
within 2 weeks of one another. 2 great institutions of this town. Hard hit for all of us.
Yes, it was, because Marlene was everything that speaks German of New Ulm, and the Domeyer store, which I'm so happy that her niece is continuing it. It's a tradition. And like the Marty family, they run the brewery, but they continue this German tradition of Gemütlichkeit that is New Ulm. And I think it's important when a business like the brewery expands itself to be inclusive into the community and has festivals and events going on out at the brewery that brings people into New Ulm to see what New Ulm is all about.
yeah. I walked through the crowd, as you both know from years past. I'll walk through and just ask people where they're from, and I got chatting with somebody, and I said, he said, what do you like best about New Ulm? Because that's I asked them, why are you here? Why'd you come here? With people out of town. I said, what I like best about New Ulm is it's like the whole city stands at the city edge, and they wave to people, come on over, come on in. We're having a celebration. We're doing Bavarian Blast. We got Germanic American Day Parade. We got Oktoberfest. We got this. We got that. And it's like New Ulm really, really welcomes people from out of town. They love seeing people here.
They do, and it reminds me of something George said to me when he moved back to New Ulm. George had been here like 1 week, coming back home, and he said, Darla, if there's anyone who says there isn't anything going on in New Ulm, there's nothing to do, he said they should come and see me. He said, I have been to a different event every day this week.
That's funny. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, that's also true. It was. And the reason I moved back to New Ulm is because it's simply the best place I ever lived. Yes. Getting back to Marlene, one of the things.
So just backstory here. There's a store on South Minnesota. Is it South Minnesota called Domeyer's, and that's the reference.
Domeyer's German store. Last year, when New Ulm had a distinction along with the brewery, and that is last year, New Ulm's Oktoberfest was voted number 2 Oktoberfest in the nation, and we had the second oldest family-owned brewery in America, Shell's. And last year also, the first Oktoberfest in America last year was at Reading, Pennsylvania, which is home of the Yuengling Brewery, which is the oldest family-owned brewery in America. So we and Yuengling and Shell's make a great trio or quartet, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, and I knew from talking to the Martys that they were good friends with the Yuengling owners, and it's a limited distribution beer, so you don't see it around here.
The point I was going to make about this Oktoberfest last year in Marlene was the kind of contributions that she made were not just a business in town, but the loyalty and consideration that she showed in all these other enterprises that are going on. First, last year when we were going to, at Oktoberfest, we were going to have our little German speaking club, a little German instruction as part of Oktoberfest, where we invited people off the street and taught German for a couple of hours. Marlene contributed about 100 small German-American dictionaries designed for children. And it's just another one of those acts that she performed that you never hear about, you don't get credit for, but those of us who are in the inside knowing what's going on know the people who really make this town go, and she was certainly one of them.
And due to her health maladies, she was not able to get around. If you wanted to see Marlene, you actually had to go to the store.
Yes, you did. In the end, you went to see Marlene, but Marlene also did a radio program for many, many years in which I believe she introduced German music over Canyu Day, and also when we were working on our Menzel Village and some of our other Christmas tradition programs that we used to do in the early 90s, you could go to Marlene's store and say what you were looking for, and Marlene would say, oh, here, take this little deer, take this ornament, you know. She'd put the finishing touch on everything because she was Marlene.
All right, so we're at Bavarian Blast. The parade should be coming around the corner behind us any moment now, but you know, Bavarian Blast is actually, can I call it an offshoot of Heritage Fest? And let's just go down that path a little bit. Let's do that history a little bit for people that might be new to Bavarian Blast and New Ulm and Heritage Fest and hearing those things.
Start with polka days. Whoa, there was an experience. 1954. 1954. The Minnesota Street, our main street, had just been repaved that year, so we said, let's have a street dance to celebrate, and we'll call it Polka Days. And they had one of the old-time bands. New Ulm used to have 23 old-time bands working out of this place, and they had an old-time band, two of them, one each on a flatbed truck for 4 blocks downtown. There were 8 bands playing at one time. The first year, New Ulm was kind of a wide open town at the time, and things were different.
Is wide open code for we got to have another conversation?
Going to details there. Suffice. Anyway, we had 10,000 people here, and that was a town. We were a town of 8,500 people at the time. I tell you, it was one super celebration. Well, the next year, the word got around, and next year we had about 15,000. Next year we had 25,000. Next year we had 40,000. Next year we had 60,000. About the time we hit 80,000, all the support services in town broke down, and it was becoming a negative rather than a positive, and that's when the festivity changed from Polka Days to Heritage Fest, where the culture and experience of German life was celebrated in a more controlled environment, and that went on for many years until 2005.
Well, I think the idea was to get it contained out at the fairgrounds so that the downtown and the residents didn't have to deal with it, because the people were overflowing into the residential areas. And so the idea was, let's have it in a fenced-in area, which works well.
All right, so the police cruiser is preceding the color guard, so we'll step over to the table. Yep, we're going to go to work and keep you guys informed. As you can see, it's a good thing George and Darla are here.
I'll just stay standing since we're going to have our flag.
Oh, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the New Ulm Police Cruiser, the first unit in the parade, followed by the New Ulm Legion and Color Guard. And I'm going to stand and salute. needless to say, the veterans of foreign wars were involved there, and the POWMIAs. So it was an all military and veterans unit that preceded and introduced the parade to the crowd here today.
Well, George, Darla, here is something rather historic. Speaking of history, the New Ulm Artillery.
The New Ulm Battery, yes.
Or battery.
The New Ulm Battery was founded in 1863. It was an offshoot of the Dakota War and a way for New Ulm to protect itself in case it should ever go into battle again. And I think our proudest thing we can say is that they have never shot anything in anger. They have never had to go.
Yeah, that just goes to show how effective they've been. They've been here now since 1863,
Right.
and no invader has dared approach New Ulm with the New Ulm Battery on the streets, and Herman looking for our welfare from his promontory up at Herman Heights. We've been safe and well guarded ever since.
And those are cannons that will be fired at Herman Fest, right?
Oh,
In
yes.
the Thunder in the Valley?
They will indeed. They
And
will
many
indeed.
of them are Civil War era cannon, and their first cannon was a gift to New Ulm from the Cincinnati Turners, and that cannon is on exhibit at the Brown County Historical Society.
The Turners, by the way, were one of the early founders of New Ulm, arrived here after the first group arrived from Chicago in 1854. The Turners, Turner in German means gymnast. The Gymnast Society from Cincinnati arrived here in 1856. The first group of settlers had the land but no money. The Turners, the Gymnasts, had the money but no land, a perfect combination. And this has been very much a Turner town for 100 years. The Turner Hall has been the heart and soul of New Ulm. They own a square block in a prominent position here next to the county courthouse, and have been an institution in all the meanings of that word for many, many, many years.
And I think people should go to Turner Hall and eat there and see the beautiful murals. It is on the National Register of Historic Places.
Yeah, and I've heard of Cincinnati mentioned in the past, and I never thought of Cincinnati being a German town
Oh, yes.
until I started understanding New Ulm history, and then I
And
realized
here comes
Cincinnati is very
the
German.
Marty family. One and all, there's Jace and his
Yep.
wife and daughter,
I
son.
wonder if I can
Yes.
get anyone. You got me? Hey,
Hey, Mark, how are ya? Hey, happy New Ulm Parade Day.
Kyle, Marty, Jace, Marty, say hi.
How you doing?
Well, good to see you guys.
Can you go around and talk to?
He did.
Go around the other side and talk to?
Can you get me? Ted, Jody, here, grab the mic.
Hello, New Ulm.
Hello, New Ulm.
Hey, New Ulm.
We've heard it's a big crowd.
Oh yeah, it's a nice crowd.
Yep, big crowd, nice crowd is what he said. Well, I'd like to think they were stopped for us, strictly for us three. But the reason there's this little bit of a delay is they had, if the parade's not moving, they can't move. So
You don't monkey with the New Ulm Battery horses.
Yes.
They're at their own pace.
right.
Ein Prosit, der Gemütlichkeit.
Everybody say ice.
Eins, zwei, drei. Super! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Hoi, hoi, hoi! And the beer wagon is next. And that is as traditional beer wagon as you
And
will
they've
see,
been making
ladies and
Shell's beer
gentlemen.
since 1860.
It's kept in the museum out at the brewery, so you're welcome to go see it real life next time you visit the brewery. Here comes the brewery bus, painted in the traditional Shell's colors.
And George, Darla, I have a chance to talk to people around the state and around the country sometimes on the phone and things. And they'll go, oh, where are you from? You know, I know Minnesota a little bit. You know, they might know Mankato, right?
Yep.
I go, well, I'm from New Ulm, home of the best beer in America.
There you go.
And it is.
Oh yeah, we're well known.
Yep.
Here comes the Shell's Hobo Band.
Oh, this is a
Shell's
wonderful
Hobo Band is noted for its German music and its circus music.
Yep.
Man, they play good and they play loud. And I'm accenting both those words. They play good and they play loud. Here they come. Listen to them.
And they've been together since right after World War II.
Here comes the mayor, Mayor Boisman.
So, oh,
Here comes the mayor, Mayor
Ron,
Boisman,
right here,
and
right
his
here,
wife,
right here.
Cheryl.
Mayor, Mrs. Mayor, how are you?
Pretty darn good.
Oh, very good. We think this is a huge crowd.
I think it is too so far. We don't know how long it's going to go on. But one of the things that I've noticed, more bands than we've had in a long, long time. And we get to follow the Hobo Band.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mayor, Mrs. Mayor. Whoops. Don't get our equipment wet.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting to see the early New Ulm Fire Department equipment followed by today's
Yes,
stellar
yeah.
equipment, which is a volunteer fire department.
So go back for a moment, Darla, to the Hobo Band. So
Yes.
what was their first appearance?
Well, they were with the Army band up at Kodiak, Alaska during World War II, and when they came back to New Ulm, they wanted to stay together, and they got Shells as a sponsor and formed the Shells Hobo Band. So they have been in existence since shortly after World War II.
I think, if my research is correct,
Mhm.
their first appearance as the Shells Hobo Band was in Vernon Center Parade in 1946.
That would sound
It was
about
not
right.
New Ulm.
Yeah, that would be about the right year.
Yeah. Well, we got, those of you who know George Glotzbach know that he can be a little unpredictable. So I'm not sure what George is up to with the old fire truck.
I think he's trying to figure out the names of the people on the first float. If they are Miss New Ulm and
Oh, sure.
yes,
Sure.
and he wants to introduce them.
Well, well, we have the New Ulm royalty, don't we?
We do,
Yeah.
and I'm sure George is going to give us their names.
Well, it's Jordan Karanen. Just keep rolling.
So the princess,
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi.
Jordan Karanen, Mariah Potter,
Miss New Ulm,
and
the
Sarah Preitzinger. Oh, excuse me, George. I'm sorry.
Miss New Ulm, the queen is Jordan Karanen. Her first princesses, Mariah Piotr, and Sarah Preisinger is the second princess. That's the New Ulm royalty. New Ulm engine number 31 of the fire department. New Ulm's very proud of its fire department, as are most small towns. Engine number 10 and followed by the American Red Cross disaster relief wagon truck.
Please, no moving action shots. I don't want to see this on YouTube.
Were you out at the fest, George? Were you out at the fest?
Oh yes, I was out at the fest on Friday night. We got there to see Alex Meissner, my wife's favorite entertainment, and that was followed by the Johnny Cash. What do they call them now?
Church of Cash?
Church of Cash. Yeah,
The
with Jay
Church
Culp.
of Cash, yes, the Church of Cash, honorary Johnny Cash program, which was terrific. And then the 3 female singers came on, and they were terrific too. The tent was absolutely crowded. You could not get another human being in there. There were people who had brought their own chairs, and so they sat in a ring around the outside of the tent.
Okay, and now here we have the Naran coming. Masked dancers. It was a tradition that we saw early in Heritage Fest. We had a group called the Maruks, and they wore these masked wooden masks, and it was then a group that New Ulm decided to create, and we call them our Naran.
Narren in German means a fool, and each one of these carved wooden masks represents a character, so that the person in that costume takes on the character of their mask, and they put on a great show. They represent New Ulm very well, not only in New Ulm, of course, but in many celebrations around the state.
George,
Yes.
Darla, I know I've told you this before, but you know, for children who don't grow up in New Ulm, didn't
Yes.
grow up, they're afraid of the Naran. They're intimidated
True.
by them.
Yeah.
The New Ulm native children, oh, they run up to them, they give them a hug.
They do.
Yeah, it's really.
Otherwise, it's kind of like getting used to sauerkraut. The first time you try it, maybe you don't like it.
Here comes the Concord Singers, ladies and gentlemen, New Ulm's men's German chorus, founded in about 1932. They're great emissaries for the city. They've traveled throughout Europe on any number of occasions, and they've made their fame and no fortune, I might say, singing a great selection of German songs. Here comes next Miss Winthrop. Miss Winthrop, Abigail Neumann is the princess. Candy Platz, the princess, is
Cassidy Platz and Maya
Cassidy
Bussey.
Platz, right?
Yep, Abigail Newman is good friends with our number 5, our daughter.
And another princess, Maya Bussey, all escorted by Kristen Chambers. So that's an all Winthrop royalty, and you certainly ought to know all of them and all about them.
I know most of them. So go back to the Concord Singers. Tell us a little bit about that history.
Well, I think the Concord Singers started in the early 30s, and they started out more as a monochord, like a choir. And they evolved over the years into more of the German music and ambassadors of New Ulm.
Yeah, a bilingual
Yes.
band.
Here comes the New Ulm Municipal Band, funded by the city of New Ulm. There's about 40 players in there. They range from the age of 15 to 95. They give a concert almost every Wednesday night during the summer, a free concert in German Park. They play a nice collection of German and American band music, waltzes, and marches. They do a great presentation of one of my old times favorite, the Alte Kameraden, Old Comrades, which goes back many, many years in Germany.
George, can you remember the municipal band playing in the old bandstand down at German Park where
I
the
can
swimming pool
indeed.
was?
Yes.
That was just great.
And that was before the new bandstand,
Yes.
which they don't really use very much because
No.
the acoustics turned out to be not
Right.
very good. So they now play outside in front of the bandstand. I can't remember a band being featured in the bandstand since I returned to New Ulm.
No,
Matter of fact.
no. But when we were little, we would swim at the outdoor pool, and the municipal band would be over by the bandstand playing music, and
Yeah.
also up at Turner Hall on certain nights of the week they'd be out in the park playing.
Yep.
And so there's just beautiful memories of that band, which has also been around for many, many, many years.
And speaking of that pool was built by the WPA, the Works Progress Administration, about 1937 or 38. My father was the head of the Works Progress Administration in southern Minnesota, and he built that pool. He was always very loyal to New Ulm and saw that New Ulm got a little bit more than its share, I think, sometimes of the Works
Right.
Progress
And I see
Administration
here
business.
that they will be playing in German Park on July 25th at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. So if anyone wants to hear our new municipal band, just go down to German Park.
Don't
on
worry about the
Wednesday.
bugs because they spray there. Bring your own chair, though.
Actually, that's a good piece of information to know.
Yes, it is.
It's a great place for
Take a
kids
chair,
too.
though.
They've got they
Yes.
sell pop there, and they've got popcorn, and they've got all of the new play equipment there to
Oh, I
entertain
love the
the
new
kids.
Kinder Castle, don't you?
Yes, yes.
Beautiful.
Well, one of our great corporate citizens in New Ulm, Kraft, now Kraft Heinz, every puck and brick and block and loaf of Velveeta cheese spread is made in New Ulm, Minnesota, in the country.
And been here since about 1950 when they were looking to bring larger businesses into New Ulm, and Kraft and 3M and BF Goodrich were some of the first to come in.
Yeah, I know there was a little concern a couple years back that are they going to move and pull
Yes.
out of New Ulm?
Yes.
No, they were just reorganizing, as I've been told, and kind of bringing all the Velveeta production up here.
Yeah, and it's an appropriate name for New Ulm because the word craft in German means power.
Oh, good. Well, and you know, there was also great concern when the fire was down at the AMPI butter plant.
The New Ulm Figure Skating Club now passing by. Good looking young girls, and a couple of guys in there as well, so good. They put on a great show every winter. Paul's Electric coming up here now, passing out candy as they go. Important to all of the young kids who are gathered right around here.
And I know, speaking of corporate citizens, Paul's Electric donates a lot of time to different
yes.
organizations.
Absolutely.
Electrical work,
Yes,
at no charge.
we've used
or
them at the Brown
minimal
County Historical Society, and
State
of course,
Street Theater is used.
yes, and also he's in a very, very historic building down there is he on Valley Street?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so tell us about the building. We got a little gap here.
That, I think, is the old Ironworks building.
Ich weiß es nicht, I don't remember.
Well, I do believe that building is on the National Register. It's very historic.
Ron, you with me? Can you follow me here? We got a little bit of a gap, so I'm going to say hi to some people over here. All right, where are they? Here we go. Right? All right. What's your name? Jake. Okay, Jake. See the guy over there on the camera? You're on TV right now. You're on channel 3 or 14. It depends on who you subscribe to. Yeah. Oh, he's 4. So. And what's your name, young lady? Oh, it's Lydia, because he just told me it's Lydia. What's your name?
Chloe.
Chloe? Where do you live?
St. George.
Oh, St. George, the fatherland.
Morgan.
Morgan, where do you live?
St. George.
Okay. Well, I'll be back. Sounds like a line from a movie, right? I'll be back. Well, George, Darla, I don't know if you heard that, but they're from St. George.
Well, that's only right and proper.
Oh,
Yes.
the Holy Land.
Yes,
That's right.
That's exactly
Yes,
what I said.
St. George is suburban farmland not far from the little town there. It's so Catholic out there, they call it the Holy Land. Here
And
comes now
Another good corporate citizen,
yes.
George and Darla, 3M.
3M, what would we do without 3M?
Minnesota
One of our
Mining and Manufacturing. They employ about 850 people here. They make about 1,001 different electrical gadgets. It's prolific when it comes to the number and the variety of products that they turn out, and they're sold worldwide. More candy pouring out the back of the truck. More kids running out into the street to pick it up. And I'm stuck here at the microphone.
Right here, right here, right here. That's the benefit of being an announcer for the parade. We get some of the free stuff, George and Darla.
Next comes Nuvera.
Yeah, well, that's a new name to a lot of people, and yet it's one of the oldest businesses in New Ulm,
Absolutely.
Minnesota.
Yep.
Telephones in 1905.
It used to be the New Ulm Rural Telephone Company, then it became New Ulm Telephone, and now it is Nuvera, N-U-V-E-R-A. The telephone business, as everyone knows, is changing rapidly, and so Nuvera is changing rapidly, ready to go along with it, and they have acquired a couple of other local telephone companies here in Minnesota and in Iowa, and they're expanding their offerings beyond hardline telephones into various internet services as well. So
I think, George, SMC is a new entrant into the parade. I wonder if they aren't working on the highway in some way.
And
they're
that's
not
a
on
huge
my list,
project.
so you got me there.
Well, now this is New Ulm Quartzsite Quarry coming in. There is
Yes.
a historic place. This
Okay.
is the Redstone, where my great-grandfather settled in Nicollet County, and they had redstone quarries going out there in the 1890s, and that has now morphed into New Ulm Quartzsite Quarry, and they make all kinds of paver rock, and still have a train that goes over the old Redstone Bridge and brings the quartzite out to the major arteries to be shipped out. Love that place. It's just one of the quaintest places you can go. And the old turn bridge is still down there. If you go to Redstone Quartzsite Quarries, you can see an old turn bridge that used to open to let the steamboats go through.
Huh. Fascinating.
They sell that redstone product as far away as Louisiana. It's especially good for highways if you want them to last 1,000 years.
Well, I just learned something new from George and Darla, and as my 97-year-old father used to say, passed away two years ago in May, it's a good thing I got up this morning.
There's Ekin
It's a
Carr,
good
the
thing
path
George and
for
I got up this morning.
spiritual freedom. United,
The Vorworks, who used to own
yes,
Printwear
United Commercial
Graphics.
Upholstery. Make custom golf car seats.
Yep.
There's another little Shell's beer wagon here.
Oh,
Cottonwood
Cottonwood
Grill.
Grill. Wonderful place. New Ulm Country Club.
Free enterprise is so amazing. Who would have thought customized golf carts could keep a couple of families and employees and keep
Yes.
money coming in, and it's just amazing.
Well, there's a lot of golfers out there.
Yeah.
Well, we have one of the most beautiful country clubs and golf courses in the state.
We
It is a
actually
treasure.
do. Yeah.
Oh, the Sleepy Eye Concertina Club is coming. Sleepy Eye is
An area favorite, George.
town just 15 miles west of us on Highway 15, and they have got one of the outstanding concertina clubs in America. Concertina is similar, I guess, but different from an accordion, and all the concertina players will tell you that.
Don't you just love a concertina? It's some of the best music in the world.
Gene Bertrand at the end there. Liney Krull, I think, is in there. There he is. There's Liney. There's a. Who else am I looking for? Tina Losleben. I don't see her. Maybe she's in there.
Playing the concert. Tina is an age-old German and Bohemian custom music. Here comes
Oh, Gibbon
Gibbons
royalty.
Royalty. Jordan Reddig, sponsored by the Glasser Law Office.
And
Cheryl
here
Gilbert.
comes
Well, it's
our
political
Pretty good.
season,
candidate
George,
for
and
mayor.
comes-
Yes, it is.
Here's our first one.
There is a woman who has a smile that says Willkommen and Gemütlichkeit. And behind that smile is a very well-informed and intelligent woman
Yes.
who understands city politics. So she'll do good.
Missy Dreckman is driving.
She's
and
got her
Kathleen
group.
And then there's
is
Kathy
waiting.
Austinson.
So I hope you got a good look at him. Turner Hall Haunted House. Turner Hall, I mentioned the Turners a little while ago, and here comes some gymnasts now. Turner means gymnast, and that's what these young girls are doing. Cartwheels and handstands. Ooh, aren't they good?
Wow. Now here comes the Turner Hall float, and Turner Hall is one of the oldest organizations in New Ulm, founded in 1856.
That'll be one of the oldest organizations in Minnesota.
Yes, it is, and the oldest bar.
Yeah, take a look at the gold lady in the Turner Hall float.
George, Darla, the mayor said there's more music in this parade than he can ever remember, and we have had
I
non-stop
like it.
music.
I like it. Also, New Ulm's Turner Hall will be merging shortly with New Aga, so you will see that the two groups are together, and when the Renew Dollars build that new recreation facility, the gym program will be down there, and it'll be fantastic to have those two groups merged.
And
Yes, it's
Nuega, of
going
course,
to be
being
very,
New Ulm area gymnastics.
correct.
very different from when I was wearing my little white gym suit and matriculated at Turner Hall in about 1936.
Oh gosh. And the gymnastic uniforms we had to wear at New Ulm High School were enough to make any girl cry.
Here comes the New Ulm Human Rights Commission.
Dan Kalk. Hey,
Dan Kalk being
great
one of them.
Listock.
Waving the
Sorry,
to the
George.
audience here. Good. And the signs that they're carrying say, no matter where you are, no matter where you are from, we're glad that you're in our neighborhood.
And that's
It
really
does.
kind of New Ulm, Minnesota, isn't it, George and Darla?
It is. The signs say Willkommen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here, look at here. Look at
There
there.
we go. New Ulm area martial arts.
Oh, I took a little judo when I was in the Air Force. I was at the bottom of the class. Flat on my back about half the time.
My grandson participated in martial arts for a couple of years, and it's very interesting to watch.
Yes, well, they certainly are dressed for the occasion, aren't
yes.
they? Look at
and
that.
each color of belt
Right,
stands
do
for
we
what?
see? There's a black belt now.
Yes, there you go. Takes a lot of training. Oh, look at
Thank
this.
you, young man. I just got my very own sucker.
Well, George, you want to break a board?
Here comes Waltz and Flanagan, the candidates for Democratic Farmer Labor Party, governor of Minnesota in the upcoming elections. St. George Festival on Sunday, the 2nd of September. St. George, as I mentioned, is this area about 6 miles east of New Ulm in Nicollet County, just across the river. It was one of the first
A
areas
unicycle and a
settled
concertina.
here, and
Jeff Frana, George, on the unicycle.
Jeff Brenna on
playing
the unicycle.
accordion, or
playing the accordion at the same time.
Jeff does both of them, and I can't do either one. Well, we have the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame here, George and Darla, so it only makes sense that we'd have a lot of music in the parade.
Absolutely.
Boy, if people haven't gone down to the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame in the old library, now it's, right next to the library.
Right?
It's just a great,
Here
neat
comes Just for
walk
Kicks.
through history.
It is.
Dancers here, dance group here. Mostly are young girls, I would say between the ages of about 12 and 15, and now the mothers who probably run a little bit older. All of them active in the dance teams. I hear the Beach Boys in the background right now.
Yeah.
They're not here though, live folks.
A great success story, Christensen Farms,
Yes, Christensen.
one of the largest hog growers in the country.
I think it's the 4th largest hog producer in the country.
Yep.
And their headquarters are about halfway between here and Sleepy Eye on Highway 14. Big operation there.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump past Carl's Corner, and then you're at their headquarters.
Right. And lucky to have them in Brown County.
Yep. Buy a lot of hog feed here in Brown County.
And here we have Lafayette. The area lions and the fire truck.
And all these kids in the wagon are also a part of the Christensen Farms operation. The Lafayette Community Fire Department advertising its Fireman's Dance coming up August the 25th, 7 o'clock to midnight. Music by Radioactive, the Lafayette Community Fire Department. And the Lafayette area Lions Club are also advertising the August 25th Hog and Corn Roast. Now, here's some young guys advertising Jason Seidel for Brown County Sheriff. That campaign is going on headstrong right now. Here comes a big John Deere tractor with
George, Darla, I know this is a candidate for sheriff, but that is my all-time favorite color tractor, that green and yellow pattern on that John Deere.
John Deere green.
Those are your Deere colors, yes.
And of course the Seidels are very well known in the Sleepy Eye area. That is a Sleepy Eye name.
Another good corporate citizen that I just don't think gets enough accolades, and that's KNUJ.
Oh, absolutely. What would we do without KNUJ?
KNUJ Radio, the oldest radio station in New Ulm, goes back to, 1948?
Oh, at
Something
least.
like that, I'm guessing. That's close.
I can remember my mother listening to her soap operas on KNUJ. And when we finally got television, I was totally fascinated to see these people, come to life.
Yeah. KNUJ used to advertise itself as the polka station of the nation. They still play a lot of polka music, and they've got a great inventory of polka music for sale. So if
what do they call it? They go by hometown radio, is that it? Is that the phrase I'm thinking of? Anyways,
Yes.
Brian and Tom and Jim Bartles,
Yes.
they all do a terrific job.
Another political entourage here for Paulenti for governor. He was the Republican governor some years back, and now he's running for re-election again.
Well, George, Darla, we got a little bit of a gap. So I'm walking over. I parked at St. Paul's Lutheran just to give, the other crowd, to be
Yes.
able to get closer. And this
Hi,
guy,
Amy. How are you?
I'm crossing the street by Smiley's, and this guy stops, and he says, "So how do I get to Bavarian Blast?" And we chatted for 2-3 minutes right in the street. They're from Bloomington, Minnesota.
Wow.
Last name Byers, Byers.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm 100% German. I haven't been to New Ulm in 20 years, and I just wanted to come back. I just wanted to be here again. We did the brewery tour. We did this. We did that. And I said, well, Audra Shanneman will be glad to know this,
Yeah.
that
And
our,
you just
that
pointed
our
north
tourism dollars are
Yeah.
working.
Just pointed north and said, "Go that way." Huh?
That's what I did. Yeah.
Yes.
I said, take a left and go 6-7 blocks. You'll see the buildings.
Follow the parade back to the fest ground.
Is that the lieutenant governor candidate, the woman who's pointing?
Oh, it might be. That might be.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ask her who she is.
So,
Anytime Fitness is now
Oh, go
coming
ahead,
up
George.
here. Just passing by, look like they're kind of got a Superman cape on there. Don't you think? You don't
So-
see very many people wearing capes anymore.
George, Darla, guess some of the other cities that people are from here at the Bavarian Blast Parade.
Rochester?
Rochester, yep.
Brainerd.
Prior Lake?
Didn't get Brainerd. What'd you say?
See, I would
Prior
go to
Lake?
Brainerd. Why
Prior
doesn't
Lake I
Brainerd
had
come
last
here?
year.
Anytime Fitness now going by, yeah, purple capes. Maybe they're super women. Do you suppose that's it?
Oh, yes.
And on their exercise bikes, pedaling away.
Does
And not
Sharon go
going
to
anywhere?
Anytime Fitness?
She did for a while.
There,
right?
she's
Yes.
a superwoman.
Yes. And there's a rowing machine. Row, row, row your truck gently down 6th North. Proud Democrat, who's coming up next?
Oh, this is Kimmel again.
This is the Brown County DFL, Democratic Farmer Labor Party. The Democratic Party and the Farmer Labor Party merged in about 1948. Eugene McCarthy, Hubert Humphrey, and Eugenie Anderson were the prime movers who put those two political parties together that were
So
up
would
until
Orville
that time
Freeman have been
separate.
part of that?
No, he came on a little bit later, but
Okay.
he was close.
Because
yeah.
he was, was he Kennedy's or Johnson's Ag Department of Ag?
Secretary of Agriculture,
Yeah.
correct.
Also governor.
Gene Simon, Gene Brand, Aimee Klobuchar, all these are Democratic office holders or wannabes.
Ah,
Dan Feehan for Congress, Aimee Klobuchar, Dan Feehan. We could meet Dan, but he passed us by. Oh, here comes the DFL truck. Ooh, this is a big entourage here. Mindy Kimmel for State House. Tina Smith for Senator. Okay. Miller Sellner now, big implement dealer in service in Sleepy Eye. Miller Sellner, Ski-Doo, Can-Am.
so Miller Sellner, George, Darla, is the Case IH dealer down in Sleepy Eye. And I think they have one more location. And my dad was
Bingham Lake and Slayton, it
Yep,
says.
there you go. And my dad was a John Deere dealer in St. Peter. Well, I'm related to Miller of Miller Sellner.
Oh, hey.
Very good. Why aren't you out there?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Get out there and do your thing.
with politics
No,
and
that
farm
looked
equipment,
like-
I didn't want to show any favoritism.
I see.
If that worked like Shelbyville, you could have stock,
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe I could.
Yeah, maybe you could. You should check that out.
And toward the end of his life, my dad and I we'd go to these tractor shows and old antique shows, threshing shows. We
Yeah.
just love looking at the old iron. Like this
Yeah.
red tractor coming here is a gorgeous tractor.
Brown County Agricultural Society.
Well, we
Free
got
fair.
the Brown County Free Fair coming up.
I am a stockholder in the Brown County Free Fair.
And pretty much that's Marlin and Carol Portner's tractor. And pretty much all the Portners are Red.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Cato's best country. I can't talk over it, so you'll have to listen. And these next two are also radio stations from Mankato. Mankato, for all of you remote listeners, is about 30 miles east of New Ulm. Here's 96.7 Hot, Mankato's hit music. KDOG. Hot dog, well, of course. Hound dog, ham dog, ham dog. Okay. Moving right along now. Oh yes, this is really something. The world's largest firing rifle, made by a fellow by the name of Arnie Lilo from Good Thunder. The rifle is 36 feet long, weighs 1,200 pounds, and it actually operates. Now, that's the biggest and the best in the world,
I don't
I think.
like this one. It's too loud for me.
Cash-wise in their great big grocery carts, or motorized grocery carts.
George, where have they fired that gun?
Not anywhere near me, I can tell you that. I'm going to be at the wrong end of that one. Minnesota Tough. Minnesota Tough. Biodiesel. Biodiesel is diesel fuel made out of regenerating crops like corn, for instance.
Oh, here we
Here
have
comes Miss
Nicollet.
Nicollet and her attendants. Angie Weber, Emily Bodie, and Alicia Strunk. Miss Nicollet, and you can see her and her princesses there with the Liberty Bell, sponsored by the American Legion.
Well, the Nate Fredrickson Band, sponsored by Carl's Corner, it looks like.
Carl's Corner is in downtown Essig, Minnesota. That's about 6 miles west of New Ulm. And Carl's Corner was voted the best fried chicken in rural America about 2 years ago, and it earned every wing of it. Yeah, Carl's Corners is gutes Essen, good eating, and guten Trinken as well, good drinking. River Creek Nursery coming up here. I do not know the lady.
Did you see it's the Fairfax royalty there, George?
Andy Poplin.
Yeah. Andy Pomplin,
Andy
Thea
Poplin.
Knoll, and Mikhail Mikady.
Very good.
Well, we're not getting the slinky effect like we have in the past, where we get these big gaps.
Okay, Mark, you and Darla get the Lutherans here.
We get the Lutherans. You'll take care of the Catholics, right,
I'll
George?
take care of the Catholics.
St. Paul's Lutheran Church
Yep.
and School.
So
founded
full
in
disclosure, Darla and I are both
1865.
members at St. Paul's.
mostly parents, but a few of the students as well. Next coming Orchard Hill, assisted living place where I have a number of friends and classmates there at Orchard Hill. The windows are dark. I don't know I can recognize them through the windows there, but I will wave to them just in case. Here comes Herman and
Well, we
Tuznella.
And
Herman,
Tuznelda.
the German, go see him.
Let's say hello to Herman. Well, I got Herman and Tutsnelda. Herman!
Hi, Mark.
It's a wonderful day for a parade, isn't it?
I've heard it's packed.
It's good parade. We're having fun.
It's a wonderful day for people of New Ulm and communities to gather around and help us celebrate.
Very good. Herman, Tutsnelda, thank you.
Phoenix Drumline from Hutchinson, Minnesota.
A drum and bugle corps, or a drum
Wonderful.
line, is just so part of a parade.
Yep.
Look at the size of that
We're trying.
trailer that they need for the drums. Oh, more tons of candy are coming here. We're all going to gain 5 pounds just watching.
That's what the kids are here for.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago they tried doing a parade by prohibiting throwing candy out in
Yes.
the streets. There was darn near an insurrection.
Well, they wanted you to hand it to them, and that
Yes.
just doesn't work.
The do-gooders they can't stop.
I remember when tossing candy first started in parades, and it's been like 20 years or so. And we're trying to, raise children and not get them addicted to sugar. So we would tell them, oh, that's for somebody else. Other children are coming to pick that up. So they never picked up candy.
Really?
Lying to children at your age. It's a shame.
Oh, it's just a little white line.
Versatile 310.
George, Darla, I go out to Farm Fest, and the equipment and the iron, as Dad and I used to call it, and the farmers call it, gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
What does one of those tires cost? I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
could
where-
you afford to get
where
a
do you
flat? I
replace
don't
them?
know.
And what is the cost of one of those machines?
Combines can run with heads close to $1 million.
Oh my
Four-wheel
goodness.
drive tractors, some of the, and it's been a few years since I looked at them, can be 300,000, 400,000, 500,000.
United Farmers Cooperative is the sponsor of these vehicles.
It's
And here
called
comes
a
the Wanda Gog
Terragator.
houseboat. Wanda Gog was a famous children's book author and
Well, let's talk
artist
about Wanda.
specializing in lithography, say 1920s to 1940s. Born and raised here in New Ulm, grew up to become internationally famous for all of her art and books, and we have a big museum in the Gog House commemorating her and her work, along with her father Anton, who was also an artist and a photographer here in Ulm. The Gog family is a great contributor to the photographic and painted arts here for 50 years.
So did Anton Gog then move out of New Ulm?
No,
He
Anton
died here.
Gog,
He died here.
He died in New Ulm in 1908 when Wanda was about 12 years old.
Across
and
the street at the
Okay.
cathedral, he did the art over the altar there, and there's 7 cherubs on either side of the Holy Trinity, which is the centerpiece in the altar art there. And each one of those cherubs is said to have the face of one of Anton's 7 children. So there's a lot of
Okay.
Also,
history.
recently at the Lutheran Church, Pastor Smith showed me something that he had found in storage, and it was a painting and it was by Anton Gog, and it used to be part of the old altar
Really?
At St. Paul's.
at St. Paul's.
Where is it now, Darla?
It's at St. Paul's, and
Can I go see it?
um,
Or is it in a closet someplace?
well, I'm sure you could make an appointment to see
Okay.
it. They want to put it up in, pick a spot for it and put
Okay.
it back up.
Good. Good.
Yes.
George, being a good Lutheran, I haven't been into Holy Trinity or Holy Cathedral, and I haven't been to St. Mary's. You've got to give me tours.
I will have to give you a tour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's one thing I can do.
And you can just tell driving by both buildings that they are beautiful churches.
They
Yeah.
are beautiful.
See, when I was young, the masses, there were 6 masses every Sunday, no Saturday masses in those days. There were 3 masses in Latin and German and 3 masses in Latin and English. That's all changed. Country 1035 KYSM. There's I have to take my hearing aids out when those go by. Bic Graphic. Bic is a big printer of calendars in Sleepy Eye, a national, maybe international business for that matter. Huge calendar operation there. Do we know how many people they employ at Bic?
I do not.
I don't know. Hundreds, but I can't tell you how many.
And I think
Yes.
most people will just be happy with that.
New Ulm Auto Fest car show.
That
This old
George
Rio
and
truck.
Darla has got to, looking at some of these old vehicles has got to take you back to different times in New
Oh,
Ulm history where
absolutely.
you go, oh yeah.
I can remember my brother coming home from the service driving a car similar to that
Thank
one.
you. Oh, those are good. Sharon loves Tootsie Rolls.
That blue
There's,
Chevy Bel Air.
Yep.
53 Chevrolet
There you go.
Bel Air.
Yep.
We'll listen to the rumble coming out of the exhaust there. South Point Federal Credit Union coming up. Would you like a Tootsie Roll?
I would.
Would you like a Tootsie Roll? Oh, here comes
State Street Theater.
the State Street Theater.
Mary Poppins is going to
Yes.
is their play that's coming up.
It's New Ulm's legitimate theater.
They had a nice
And
write
here's
up
the-
in the Journal today.
They
on
did.
Mary
This
Poppins.
is the cast from Mary Poppins coming up July 26, 27, 28, and 29.
Oh, that poor puppy.
New Ulm Veterinary Clinic just passed by there. And who might be in that craft there, do you think? I can't tell. New Ulm Regional Veterinary Clinic. But those are children in the wagons, not animals.
Yeah, with vets, there's large animal vets and there's small animal
Well, they
vets.
must be large animal because the car is painted like a Holstein cow.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
and I think some do both. When I used to work for Lou Fritchie at his veterinary clinic in the 60s, he
Who?
did both. Lou Fritchie, it would have been Albert Fritchie's son, had a
Oh,
veterinary clinic here, and I worked for him. And he did both large animal and small.
And,
New
and
Ulm
in
and
small
Sleepy Eye
towns,
Hockey.
Right.
They'll do
Purple
that.
and white are the New Ulm High School colors. The CrossFit. New Ulm CrossFit coming up next. Ooh, Look at those muscular women. Wow.
Look at those muscular men.
Yes.
Thank you.
Boy, you got to be careful in this neighborhood. Whoa.
We need to keep equality in our announcing.
Well, that's right.
Okay, who do we have in the blue here? Grace Community Church. I'm betting on that. Yes. Grace Community Church. Yes. I want to hear them play. 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 Play.
Spielen Sie.
Spielen Sie. Play. Play. Just asked for and got my own Grace Community Church fan. And here we go, juggling for Christ. Whoa. Next coming up is Dan's Custom Welding. And a pretty young girl here giving us the victory sign. Dan's Custom Welding tables.
There you go.
Gibbon, Minnesota. Gibbon is about 18 or 20 miles from here. My mother was born in Gibbon.
Your mother was, George?
1901, yep. My grandfather was the druggist there,
Interesting.
or a druggist there, yes.
You know, Gibbon is one of those small towns that's kind of typical of rural Minnesota. You got great, great people there, and yet there's no businesses anymore.
Yeah,
And
rural Minnesota is changing.
Yeah.
Not that all of America isn't changing, but
Comes
small
the
towns
Wendinger
especially.
Band.
Here come the Wendinger Band, one of the great old-time bands, nationally known. Has toured in Europe and Mexico.
So when did the Wendinger Band start?
Well, they were young boys when they started playing.
I suppose it's 50 years ago now. These,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a family affair.
So did you ever hear of Medelia, George? Because we have
I've-
people here from Medelia.
Yes, when I was learning to drive, I was practicing in my father's old green Chrysler, and I put it into what I thought was reverse. So I was parked there at the curb, stepped on the gas. Well, I was in drive, and drove up over the sidewalk and ran into a building. That was one of my first memories of Medelia. And
Good thing your father was a lawyer.
yes, he was really angry,
Oh, I bet he was. I bet he was.
and I was embarrassed.
And
Well, I was only 14. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I was 14.
All right, so we got, here's the cities I came across
Yes.
besides Medelia and Sleepy Eye. Winstead,
Yes.
Park Rapids,
Yes.
Rochester,
Yes.
Houston, Texas,
Houston, Texas.
Bancroft, Iowa,
Yes.
south of Fairmont, Hutchinson, Winthrop, Lake Crystal, Hanska, Gibbon, Siegel Township, Rice, Minnesota, Staples, Minnesota.
That's getting up north there, yes.
Yeah, Klossner, Monticello,
Yes.
St. Charles. People know St. Charles off of I-90
Monticello,
on the way to Winona.
Minnesota, not Monticello, Virginia.
Right,
Right.
Monticello, Minnesota.
Okay.
Long Prairie, St. James, Fargo,
Fargo.
Sanborn,
I used to live in Fargo. I was the
Buffalo Center, Iowa.
Buffalo Center. Here comes the Hy-Vee delivery. And look at, they've got water by the bottle, by the hundreds of bottles here, actually. And if I didn't have a bottle of water, I'd go out and ask for one. Oh, they don't put them in your hand, they roll them to you. That's their new delivery method. Here comes Jensen Motors.
My brother-in-law just started working for Jensen Motors. Very happy to be working there. Wonderful place.
Yeah, and it's
Fairbairn.
Yeah.
So friendly.
Yeah, it's just another great, and New Ulm's filled with them. Another great corporate citizen.
Jason Fairbairn for Brown County Sheriff. And he's got a number of his promoters with him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's good. 12. That must be him now, shaking hands with the nuns. I bet it is, huh? Ooh. Who do we have here?
Beautiful.
The Rainbow Country Trolley. And the Tunnel Car Wash, followed by the Tunnel Car Wash, brand new car wash here in New Ulm. They handle, what is that, 60 cars an hour? No, it's a bunch.
I have never seen it before, but it'd be wonderful for weddings and festivals
Yeah.
in Long, giving rides.
What is she handing out? Are those, is that candy or what is that? I can't tell. Tech Unlimited, the neighborhood IT guy coming up here. The world needs IT, I'll tell you that. If my computer is any example.
Yep, and museum couldn't get along without those people.
No. Ah, here they're handing out free lunches from Gudis Essen. Thank you.
Oak Hills Living Center. My mother spent
Gudis
some
Essen
time
means
there.
good eating, by the way. It's a catering service and a lunch service down at Oak Hills retirement home. Gudis Essen. Good eating.
What's interesting about New Ulm is there's no shortage of good music, but there's no shortage of good food.
Oh,
Even the
absolutely not.
caterers are known for their outstanding food.
Absolutely. And Gudis Essen is located in Oak Hills Living Center, which is a fine place to go if you need that kind of service.
Yeah,
Here comes the Sleepy Eye Sportsman Boating Club, and if this boat is the same as in prior years, they're going to raffle that one off. Yes.
Sleepy Eye Lake.
When are you going to raffle it off? Maybe I was wrong about the raffle.
Back to Gudis Essen just briefly, George and Darla. So State Street Theater will occasionally do some kind of a
Oh, do
dinner
they?
theater type of a
Yes,
production. And they'll use Gudis Essen, and we always get rave reviews.
Another candidate for office here, Andrea Betker. Is one of these women, Andrea, do you
Yep,
think?
right here.
Carol
Which one?
Steinhaus is driving
Hi,
that
Carol.
beautiful convertible.
Are you Andrea Betker? Smile for the camera. Thank you.
Kalaki days. George,
Okay,
Darla,
that's up to you.
I
That's
got to
yours.
talk about
That's yours.
Kalaki days.
That's yours.
Because I've been doing this parade for 4 years. Kalaki days, they come through here, and I don't know what Kalaki. You know what Kalaki is?
Well, you better
It's
find
like
out in a hurry.
saying strudel in
Yes,
German.
yes.
Why
It's
don't you go ask her?
and they maintain they're the Kalaki capital of the world.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Kalaki Days Czech Festival. Here it is, right here, Montgomery, Minnesota, July 27, 28, and 29.
New America Youth Football passing by here now. One of them or two of them, I suspect, are the coaches. Wouldn't you think?
Well, I see the
couple of
NBL
their
coach, I see
Husky
a cathedral coach,
players
and I
there,
see a
yes.
public coach. I think
Yes.
it's a combination of the three high schools, and again, three great schools to choose from. And,
AMPI, American Milk Producers Inc.
working together on the football.
The first or second largest butter manufacturer in the country. They produce about 10% of the nation's butter.
George, aren't they the largest butter manufacturer
Well,
in the
there's
country?
there might be one in California now.
Oh, okay.
So I have to weasel a little bit when I say that.
Yeah.
Jeff Hohensee is a candidate for sheriff. We've got 4 running for county sheriff here, or is it 3? Here in Brown County this year. So they're getting a running start at it, and this parade is a good place to do that. I suspect that is Jeff right there. And they do handstands as well. Yo! Ah. Thank you. Here comes Spielmann-Zug. I gotta go up there with you.
Oh, you want to go up there?
With you. I'll go. Yeah, you do the interview. But Spielmann-Zug is a carnival-type organization, headquarters in the Twin Cities. Spielmann. Spiel means to play. Man is a man. Zug is like a caravan of merrymakers. Let's go.
Well, we'll kind of walk and talk.
You're going to walk and talk? Well, hi to everybody. Glad to be here and having a lot of fun. It's a great day for a parade.
And where are you guys from?
We're actually from Minnesota. We're from around here. Actually, we headquartered in the Twin Cities, but we've been down here before. We've been around all over the place. We do a lot of parades through Minnesota and Wisconsin.
And what is the Spielmannsing Club?
We are a carnival, a German Mardi Gras, or around here you probably know it as Fasching or Faschnacht. Depends upon what part of the country you're at. We celebrate in the Rhineland. We costume in the Rhineland, which there is known as Carnival with a K.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Good to see you guys. Ron wants to stay focused on me. I'm not sure why.
Case.
Well, this time I think they're showing off the Kubota tractor, or the Kubota kind of bobcat-looking implement or machinery.
You got some time now.
Now we have a gap. Wow. There's nothing in sight. So,
why don't you go try the nuns?
well, we could try the nuns. Oh, Shanghai. Somebody is here from Shanghai, China. Yep. And you know what she said? And she's, being from Shanghai, she's Chinese.
Can
she
you
said,
imagine that?
Yeah, right. She says, I love polka music. I love old-time music.
That is
Isn't that
great.
I didn't, I knew polka music and old-time kind of was universal. Or at least I wanted to convince myself. But I didn't.
Match with Shanghai's.
Yeah, yeah. Should we get a few more? Let's Ron, can you focus on me over here? George Glotzbach wants me to say hi to the sisters.
Hello.
Do I got you got us, Ron? Okay, first name, where you're from? Where'd you grow up?
Sister Teresa Rose, and I'm from Maryland.
Maryland,
Yeah.
wow.
Ashley from Rochester.
You were from Rochester. I talked to you before.
Yeah, I'm Missy. I'm from Park Rapids.
Park Rapids. Whoops.
Mother Mary Claire, Winsted, Minnesota.
Winsted, Minnesota. I lived in Hutchinson.
I'm Becca. I'm from Colorado.
Okay.
Caitlin. I'm from Plymouth.
I'm Sister Tresmery from North Dakota.
Well, are you a sister to them? Any one of them?
Nope, I'm just a friend visiting with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
New Ulm.
Where's New Ulm? I've never heard of them.
Big Ideas USA going by here now with a light bulb and a hammer and a wrench and a bandsaw.
You know, the Minnesota Inventors Congress used to meet over in Redwood Falls because they had so many people in their history that were inventors that now they've moved, I believe, to the Dunwoody Institute in Minneapolis.
They didn't. Did they?
Yes.
Oh, for shame.
But that Big Ideas reminded me of the Minnesota Inventors.
Sibley County Royalty coming up. They're going to, this year's Hans Hughes Cultural Exchange Intern is coming up shortly. But right now, Sibley County's ambassador is going by. Go interview. This is the German girl here.
So tell us a little bit about Sister Cities. And
Sister Cities is a program here in New Ulm where we have an exchange program with our sister cities of
Ulm, Minnesota.
Of Ulm and Neu-Ulm in Germany. And we exchange, we call them interns.
Well, you're going to be George, you're going to, your name?
Anna Köhler.
Anna, you are part of the Sister Cities Commission, am I correct?
So far, I hope so, because I'm getting that girl's mail all the time, so I figure I am.
And what is the other name for the program that you're a part of?
I'm not sure if we have a different name. I think we're basically...
Was.
Well, we'll get back to it. Very good, thank you. How long are you in New Ulm?
3 months in total.
3 months?
3 months, yes.
Okay, we'll be able to see you around New Ulm at different things?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Good.
What was I supposed to?
No, isn't there another part of that Sister Cities Commission program?
Oh, foreign exchange schools.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
Different altogether.
Yeah, it's a different branch.
Nilsson Heating and Air Conditioning is passing by with bubbles, and lots of them. Here comes another political group, Johnson and Bergstrom for governor.
I believe this is the Republican side of the political spectrum.
Mary Bart's there. Paul Torkelson.
State Senator Gary Dames. Is it Dames or Doms?
Dames.
That's how I always pronounced it.
Gary. Good, how are you? Go say Paul. Interview. We don't do that. We don't do that, okay. Paul.
George.
Hi.
How you doing? Did you get across your road yet?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Every other day. Doug Wardlaw for Attorney General. I guess this must be him. Oh, look at this guy. He sings, he dances, he tells funny stories. Well, he would just smile while he's doing it. And Hagedorn is the Republican candidate for Congress in this district.
Yeah, Minnesota has 8 congressional districts, and New Ulm is in what's known as the 1st congressional district.
Yes.
If you go over the line into Sibley County, then you're in the 7th congressional district.
The primary is the 14th. I think you can start voting now, can't you? Can't you vote
you might be
by
able
mail
to,
starting
yeah.
now? I think so. Oop. I guess that must be him. That must be Mr. Hagedorn. Here comes Greg Bartz.
Well, you've got A.H. Hermel, who bought New Ulm Wholesale.
Yes.
Right.
So tell us the little history of New Ulm Wholesale.
Well, I think New Ulm Wholesale has been around for many, many years. The Bacchus family was involved in New Ulm Wholesale.
Very good.
And I think at that time it was just simply called New Ulm Grocery Company.
Okay.
Yes. Bacchus's owned that.
Bacchus's owned
Yeah,
that,
I lived 2 doors from the Bacchus's on one direction, and another Bacchus 2 doors from another in another direction. So I grew up among the Bacchus's who owned the grocery.
Well, it seems like forever since we had some music, and we had so much of it.
The
Now we got
Misfits,
some
the
back.
old-time music.
I think they fit in quite well.
Yes.
Here comes the Sleepy Eye royalty.
Okay.
Jody Hanson,
Brianna Pileski, and Courtney
Dittbenner.
Dittbenner.
Oh, pretty girls. They're all pretty girls. And New Ulm bus lines with their shiny new bus. With a bunch of eager young students, can't wait for school to begin.
And we never got to ride a bus when I went to school.
No, I walked.
You know that old story. We'd walk a mile
Yeah,
That's
to
right.
and from twice a day. Walked home for lunch.
The only time I got a ride to school was when I was a junior in high school and I broke my foot. And
And how did you
So I-
break your foot?
well, we had snuck into the high school and we were playing basketball in the old gym in the basement there, and I turned the wrong way and I could hear it break. I knew it was. Ooh, here we come.
Yes.
And here comes a guy on stilts, no less.
I can remember, George, the first time I saw somebody in a parade on stilts was like in 1965. And
Yeah?
I can still remember it as if it happened yesterday at the St. Peter Parade.
My gosh.
Because we were living in St. Peter. That's where my first 11 years were. And I just was amazed.
If I can just avoid getting run over picking up the candy, we'll be okay.
This must be the Knights drumline. Boy.
George, darling, it's a comfortable day. out here, but you walk a mile in a parade and play a musical instrument, you're going to be tired.
Brokaw Supply Company.
I think
That,
they're a
what is
new
that
entrant
vehicle?
this
It's
year.
a Polaris. I didn't know the Polarises came that big. The blue one is twice as big as the red one. Wow.
That's Schaefer Well, George, coming up here.
Schaefer Well Drilling Company. Yes, there are a number of well drillers here and 2 Schaefer families. But this is the Schaefer Well Company. And it's, whoa, talk about yellow. That is a beautiful yellow. National Crane, Schaefer Crane Service as well. Isn't that a beautiful truck?
You're not going to need a crane every day, but when you do, you need a crane.
Yes, and I think they've grown quite a bit over the years. Starting out from Schaefer Well Drilling, getting into the crane business, operate down
Sid
by the
Signs
Y.
is coming up next, and you can see that they have practiced what they preach in their Divine of the Truck.
There's Sid driving right there?
Sid is
Yep,
driving.
Sidney
Hi, Sid.
DeLeo.
So is he related to the DeLeo music
he
name?
is
Yes,
Guy
it's-
DeLeo's son.
Yes,
Okay.
Guy
Yep.
DeLeo's son, yes. Concrete Specialties. He's got and the New Ulm Soccer Association. So you can see the boys kicking the ball every which way here. And there's some girls down there I can tell as well. They're coming our way now. Oh, look at, there's one that's got a soccer ball for a head on him there. Now we got Matt Iverson, who is running for Brown County Sheriff, and his entourage.
Well, there's no shortage of sheriff candidates.
No.
Which is a good thing for the voter.
My great-great-grandfather was sheriff of Brown County, 1886 to 1890.
What last name, George?
Schmidt, S-C-H-M-I-D, John Baptist Schmidt. At one time, he had 5 prisoners who were in there for first-degree murder.
What?
So things were tough in those days. But they weren't all from Brown County. New Ulm has always had kind of the best jail around, and we've always had kind of a rent-a-jail. You know, so the other counties have been sending us their prisoners for years. So they weren't all Brown County prisoners at the time.
It's kind of like the LAC today. They take prisoners from other areas.
Yeah.
In order to keep funds coming in to operate the jail.
Yeah, in those days, the sheriff operated the law, and his wife operated the room and board, so that the whole family was involved in not only catching criminals, but keeping them.
Oh, she did the cooking.
And housing for 2 types of people.
And this makes you think how the trucking industry took over the rail system.
Yes, it did.
When
And
it
now, And now with this economy of the last couple of years, both trucking and capacity on trucking and rails is scarce. It's hard.
Right.
They're, manufacturers are running into real challenges getting the supplies they need, but then getting their finished product out across the country, that is.
Mm-hmm. So I think that makes them look back at the rail system and see whether or not some of that should be put back to use.
I think
I think more and more it is.
I think the end is nigh because they normally have these big trucks at the end of the parade. So we may be.
Oh, Lafayette, Minnesota.
They are getting bigger and bigger, aren't they?
5-star towing out of Lafayette.
5-star, oh yes. Another one from HDH, that's the second one of those. Also from Lafayette, right?
Partly diversified hauling. My goodness. And here we have Matthews.
And we know they're working on the highway.
Oh,
they're working on my street right now. And they will be for months. You don't see trucks like this in New York City. You got to come to New Ulm to see trucks like this.
KG Trucking of New Ulm.
Yeah. Schrader.
Sleepy
Eye.
Schroepfer of Sleepy Eye.
So the reason, George, Darla, the reason we have all these trucks is we're actually at the end of the parade, and it's the convoy for kids. It's a St. Jude's fundraiser.
Oh,
so
for St. Jude's Hospital. Very good. Yes. Whoa. But if this is a fundraiser, why aren't they out here with
their hats,
bags asking for money? I would give them $1. Look at that little kid. Look at the little kid driving that big truck.
and he wants to. That's his job, to blow the horn. He's out of ball.
Pull it. That a guy. Who has more fun than kids anyway?
Oh my.
No fire mark. Are we gonna go out there and sum it up at the end, or what do we do? We gotta do something.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of New Ulm, Minnesota, George Glatzbach, Darla Gebhardt, I'm Mark Sandelman. George, Darla, what a great day for a parade.
Wunderschön Parade. Absolutely top notch.
Yeah, I think the Bavarian Blast Parade is always a fun parade.
But I think this one was particularly good because it seemed we had a lot more music, a lot more bands, and that makes it enjoyable, and the weather was perfect.
Yeah, the mayor is one of the very first ones to always come through a parade in anybody's community, and he said there's more music here than I've ever seen in a Bavarian Blast parade before.
And I think 102 units, which is pretty good. It took them an hour and 5 minutes to pass by.
Yeah, and then also what the mayor noted was he thinks this is the most people he's ever seen on a Bavarian Blast parade.
Well, I think you're going to get people out if there's a little bit of a breeze and perfect weather for it, and this is really great weather for a parade.
Well, there's a little bit of Bavarian Blast left. It just doesn't end with the parade. There's still things going on at the fairgrounds.
I'm going to go directly down there from here because I've got my Bavarian blasting yet to do.
Bavarian blasting. All right, very good. George Klotzbach, Darla Gebhardt, of course, the talent here of the three of us. I just came along for the ride and get to interview them and other people, and we had a lot of fun. We hope you did too, and we'll see you around New Ulm, and we'll see you at the next parade.
Next year.
For sure, next year.
Very good. All right. Thank you.